one of the beautiful attributes of our tradition is that you are confirmed once, but you can reaffirm a whole host of times.
Sure.
And so there are moments in our lives when we go through major transitions and we say, here's an opportunity for me to be able to declare that God has really helped me through this moment.
Right.
And I want my family to know about that.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. My name is Kyla, and this week I have a very special guest with me, Bishop Andrew Asbil, who is the diocesan bishop for the Diocese of Toronto. We're just going to chat a little bit about what your job looks like, what it means to be Anglican in Toronto, and whatever else comes up, I guess.
Wonderful. Looking very much forward to it. And thank you for having me.
Yeah. So maybe you can just start by introducing yourself a little bit and just telling us, what led to you pursuing ordained ministry to being a bishop?
Well, thank you. It is a lifelong process, I think.
For sure. For sure.
I was born and raised in a family where my father was a priest, and eventually he would become the Bishop of Niagara. So there was a time in my life where, in fact, he was my father and my boss at the same time. Believe it or not. But I, as I said in my sermon earlier, I was a Sunday school dropout, not because Sunday school was not boring, but because I needed something a little bit more, and liturgy became that place where I found a full expression and a sense of being at home, and really wrestled with the idea that God might be calling me to ordained ministry. It was something that I kind of put on the back burner when I became a teenager.
Sure.
Like most teenagers, it didn't seem like a cool idea to me at the time.
Sure.
And it wasn't until partway through my undergraduate degree, when I was at the University of Waterloo, when I realized that science, which was the course that I was taking at the time, while interesting, was not my passion. And I slowly but surely started to get a sense that God was calling me to ordain ministry, and I started reaching out to people in my family and those who knew me well. One of whom was my father, who, when I came home after a Christmas break, said, Dad, I'm thinking about ordained ministry, and he said, I wanted to talk to you about that before you went back to school. I believe you have a vocation.
Okay.
And that led the long journey to trying seminary. And I made the promise that I would try every year. And year after year, it just felt much more at home, that I was in the right place at the right time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, so my dad is also a pastor, and wondering, how does that sort of play into your sense of call to ministry? Because I know there's probably positives and negatives there.
Yeah, I think it's by, you tend to soak up so much of what the faith is about, but almost by osmosis, because you're constantly in it. There are very few places in the world where a pastor brings their children to work.
Yep.
Right. And so you're in it all the time. And I think just watching, listening, paying attention to how my father interacted in his ministry became just like wearing another part of my skin that was just very much at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you sort of, how does the transition work from, I'm pursuing this sort of called ordained ministry, to becoming a priest, to becoming a bishop at some point? What did that journey look like?
I went through the process with the Diocese of Niagara, felt the call to being ordained a deacon first, which is part of our system of ordination, a transitional diaconate. And then was deaconed in 1988, a whole long time ago, and then priested in 1989. And I served in a parish in Guelph, St. George's, as an assistant curate. And then I had my first solo flight as a pastor or priest in a small town called Acton.
Okay. Yes.
And there at St. Albans, started my first chapter of doing that on my own.
Okay.
And then I progressed from there to a new church plant in Oakville, where we met in a high school cafeteria and went through the process of building a new building.
Okay.
And then moved to the Diocese of Toronto and became the incumbent at Church of the Redeemer downtown.
Okay.
Corner of Avenue Road and Bloor Street. and served there for 15 years.
Wow.
And then served as the dean of the diocese and the rector of St. James Cathedral right downtown for a couple of years, and then was elected as the diocesan.
Okay.
In 2018.
In 2018. Okay. So you've been doing this about 7 or so years now.
Just turned into my 8th year.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So what does that look like? What does a bishop do?
Well, the bishop is the symbol of unity, is the symbol of the lead pastor, the shepherd of the sheep and the flock of the diocese. We have 200 congregations. We have a whole host of other missions. We have chaplaincies in schools and hospitals. And so my role, working with the other 2 suffragan bishops, is really to nurture a sense of being one together as community, of tying together this very unique community of Anglican churches, both small and large, in rural areas as well as right downtown. Working very closely with our clergy. We have about 250 very active clergy and probably another 100 to 150 retired or those working part-time. And so it really is about gathering the whole community and being faithful together.
Okay. And what does that look like? Like in a week of a bishop or in the month of a bishop, what does that look like?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a whole new adventure every single day.
Sure.
In my experience, every Sunday, my wife Mary and I hit the road and we go out to another parish. Today is Trinity Streetsville, and so the car points in different directions.
Sure.
And that is for me the wonderful part of the week. When the gathered people of God come and we worship together.
Yeah.
And through the week, I'm often in places where I'm visiting other parishes where they're going through development changes or they're in the midst of conflict. I meet a lot with staff at 135 Adelaide, which is our head office. The directors and I spend a lot of time together overseeing the work of the diocese itself. I do some teaching and Bible studies, take services during the week, and I'm present within the diocese, but also beyond. So I've served on different boards and committees for the Episcopal Church, as well as in the UK, because we're part of an Anglican communion. It's not just resting in Canada; it's much beyond.
Sure, yeah. And for you, I mean, you grew up in the Anglican Church. Was there any point where you felt like there was a decision to stay in the Anglican Church? Like, what is it about Anglicanism that sort of draws you in?
I love the Anglican tradition because it provides so much room. I've never ever contemplated leaving the Anglican tradition. It very much is home for me. And I think a community that can embrace the diversity of theological interpretation, of expression of liturgy from high Anglo-Catholic to low evangelical, that can span the expanse of different languages, different cultures, different settings. And when we get into places where there are differences of opinion, differences of interpretation, there's a real sense that the default is always that we walk together. We are in this together. And so division is not something that we take it very seriously, and we try desperately to avoid that ever happening.
Sure.
And so I think for me, that's the merit of the enterprise.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that, so I didn't grow up in Anglican context, but I think that's something that also has sort of drawn me in this direction, right? That I'm looking for a church that puts the first things first. Correct. Right? And that lets us then express that in a variety of ways, but do it recognizing we're all family, even if we have our familial challenges.
Exactly, like a real family.
Yeah,
right? I mean, there's not a family that I can think of that doesn't have conflict. And doesn't have separation. And when there is time of separation, there's always the want and the desire for reconciliation. Of course. That's who we are. Yeah,
for sure. So what do you find like most exciting or most rewarding about the work that you do?
Sunday mornings.
Yep.
Sunday mornings is the cherry on top. You know, it is what gives me breath and life to face another week. When the gathered community is together, I think watching communities grow both in numbers, but also in depth of spirit and expression of their faith is something that gets me up in the morning, every morning.
Sure.
Knowing that we're making a difference in the world.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter if you're in a large parish downtown or in the suburbs, or you're in a tiny little parish in the rural areas where only 10 or 12 people come.
Yeah.
There's a real sense of identity and a real sense of purpose and meaning for those communities. That gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a particular aspect of like the Sunday morning experience that like is sort of most captivating for you?
I think being with the community itself, and walking alongside, paying very close attention to who the community is and how they express their faith.
Sure.
Listening.
Yeah.
I love listening to the stories of why people come, what sustains them, what keeps them coming back.
Sure.
I think are the stories that keep me really enthralled.
Yeah, for sure. And so while you're here on Sunday morning, you're going to be doing some confirmation, reaffirmation, reception. Is that something that you do most weeks or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. So as the diocesan bishop, I have a particular area of the central archdeaconry that I spend a lot of time in. And those are often the places where I do confirmations and reaffirmations. Yeah. And because I have oversight of the whole diocese. Yeah. Our goal is to get into every single parish before I retire.
Okay.
And to worship with every community at least once. So we've been in probably 150 different congregations over the last 7 years.
And how many are in the diocese?
200.
Okay, so you're getting there.
They're getting there.
Yeah.
And so if we can do that at least twice would be absolutely a blessing. Doing confirmations, reaffirmations are a real joy too, because you are with young people and middle-aged folk and sometimes seniors. Who are making this declaration that's public that I find really humbling and beautiful. Because the whole community gets to be a part of that with them. Yeah. And none of us walk by faith on our own.
For sure.
You need the community to do that with you.
Yeah. So when you think about this process of confirmation, reaffirmation, and that sort of thing, like what do you see that as like doing or being, I guess?
I think it's one of those moments in a person's life where they feel a need to publicly declare. And I know in some cases, for younger people especially, it's often a moment when a family says it's time for you to get confirmed.
Right, sure.
And some of those who come into confirmation classes do so pretty reluctantly.
Sure.
And it's often after and way later when I hear back from folks like that who were reluctant, who said, I had no idea at the time what was really happening under the surface. Yeah. But very glad that my grandmother or my mother or my father said it's time for confirmation. And a real sense that God was working through them in a new way that they had not really thought of before. Yeah. And one of the beautiful attributes of our tradition is that you are confirmed once, but you can reaffirm a whole host of times.
Sure.
And so there are moments in our lives when we go through major transitions and we say, here's an opportunity for me to be able to declare that God has really helped me through this moment. Right. And I want my family to know about that.
Yeah. It's cool the way that like God works in those ways that like are almost a surprise to us. They shouldn't be a surprise that this is how God works. But like in those moments, it's like, whoa, God shows up again. God is faithful again.
Always. And, in the reading today, one of the beautiful aspects of Luke, when Luke says, if you're living a generous life, if you're living a life where you're dressed and ready for action, your lamp is burning with passion for the good news, Jesus will show up and serve you.
Yeah.
You know, you are served at the same time that you are serving. We actually don't recognize that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's often after the fact that we realize, oh, that's how this works.
Yeah. Yes. It's definitely that continuous process of re-encountering Christ.
Absolutely.
In these big moments, in confirmation and that sort of thing, but also just like in the weekly practice of receiving Eucharist, in the daily practice of prayer, of showing up.
Exactly.
Re-encountering Christ.
Indeed.
Yeah. So cool. So when you think about all of this work that you do, are there moments that are particularly challenging for you?
Yeah, I think that conflict is always a part of the journey.
Sure.
And that's a big part of my work.
Yep.
Is helping congregations, helping leaders work through their conflicts. And it's probably the hardest thing that I do, and probably the best thing that I do. Because if I can stand in the breach with the community, with the person, and know that I'm there, that you're here, we are in this together, holy things happen.
Yeah.
They always do. And sometimes you don't know the fruits of that moment until way after.
Sure. Yeah. I think about that. Like, as you said, conflict is always hard.
Yeah,
but I think the value of having a wise leader and someone who, I mean, you're part of it by virtue of being part of this diocese, but sometimes a little bit external to the particular parish.
Correct.
Right? Like that I think is super helpful in those moments.
Exactly right. And as a bishop, you have the responsibility of being present. You have the responsibility of showing up. And to be in a space where you know people are vulnerable, and that hurt has been experienced, and they're stuck. They don't necessarily have a way through. And so a big part of my call is helping that happen, help to find that avenue through.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So when you think about your work in the last little while, where's a moment where you've seen God show up?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I would say, I was a bishop for about a year and then COVID happened.
Right.
And I would say that, especially through that COVID moment, what I experienced as the bishop was grace upon grace upon grace. Of moments when God showed up in a time when we did not know what we were doing.
Yep.
and going online like we are now.
Yeah.
And watching clergy take the risk of having podcasts and doing live broadcasts, and learning how to be vulnerable in a time when we did not know what the future was going to hold.
Sure.
I think that experience for me set me on a different trajectory as bishop, to say, we got to try everything. We've got to be present in every way that we possibly can. And those are, when I watch congregations large and small take those risks.
Yeah.
Jesus is always present.
Yes.
Always. And I'm always moved by those simple gestures. When I think of St. George Grafton, tiny little town, and most of the community members are north of 75 years old. Okay. And they really wanted to be a part of a wider community event and ministry. And so they joined Habitat for Humanity to build housing for those who could not afford. And they knew that they couldn't climb ladders. But they chose, in fact, to, because they know hospitality. Right. They provided meals for 16 build days. Okay. And they understand that is what they are called to do. They are Mary and Martha in that moment. Serving the needs of those who are providing housing and shelter for the most vulnerable. Beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, to think about these 200 churches that are all in 200 or more different places. Just doing the work that God is calling them to do in that place and space and moment.
Incarnational.
Yeah.
And it's true. And we don't really sit down very often as Anglican churches and count all of the points where ministry is happening.
Sure.
In some ways, I'd love for us to do that at some point,
Sure.
just to say, how have you been influenced or changed somebody's life this week?
Yeah.
We are very bashful, I think, about telling the good story. And we need to be more in practice of what that means.
Sure.
To be able to share that good news, to say, let me tell you what happened for me this week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you get a particularly good lens on that, right? Because you get to go around and see all of these different churches. I think it's really easy for us at Trinity or at any local church to sort of think, okay, this is the stuff that we do in Streetsville in this place at this time. And we forget that we're connected to this whole family of people.
Well, and that was one of the great gifts in COVID.
Right.
If you were just a congregational community, you have only yourself to rely on.
Yeah.
As a diocesan community of 200 congregations, we could hunker down together.
Yeah.
And start learning from each other in a completely different way.
Totally.
And for the longest time, a lot of Anglican churches have been, falsely had a sense that we were competing against each other.
Right.
We were doing our thing. You do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I think there's a change in the diocese where I think more congregations and leaders say we need to help each other.
Sure.
To learn how to be present in a changing world. Mm-hmm. The fastest growing demographic are those who have no connection with any religious organization. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the mission field for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So then as you think about what the future of the Diocese of Toronto looks like, we don't have a crystal ball to say this is exactly what it is, but where are you hoping that we're moving towards?
Well, I often use the expression for those who will listen that we are operating on a 200 and 300 year plan.
Okay.
Right? Businesses tend to look at 5 and 10 year cycles. And,
sure.
And for us to be able to say, we are a faithful community.
Yeah.
In our liturgy, we say, Christ is risen, Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again.
Yeah.
Our pledge is to be present when Christ comes again.
Mm-hmm.
It might take 100 years, 200 years, 300 years more.
Yeah.
And so for me, the future for the Diocese of Toronto is to set that horizon as high as we can, to say, how do we meet 200 years from now?
Yeah.
That's going to be influenced by the decisions and the ministry that we do today. Mm-hmm. And I think the season of spiritual renewal, which we've just come through as a diocese, sets us on a wonderful course. Mm-hmm. To be able to say, we know that the first things are the first things, which mm-hmm. is discipleship and evangelism.
Right.
And we are embarking on that. Mm-hmm. And in a whole new way, I find now Anglicans are much less bashful than they used to be.
Okay.
In being able to say, I have a good story to tell.
Right.
So I see a wonderful future for the Diocese of Toronto. I see a much more diverse Diocese of
sure.
Toronto as the face of immigration changes in the Greater Toronto area. I see a depth of different languages being spoken. We have
sure.
at least 12 different languages now being spoken on Sunday mornings in parishes across Toronto. And I see more of that.
Yeah. Very cool. I think setting a 300-year horizon and saying our goal is to meet Jesus there. Obviously, a 300-year horizon is not when I personally will be there to meet Jesus, but to think about how do I set up this community well so that 300 years from now, someone can be sitting here experiencing Christ.
Well, and somebody came to faith because you said something,
yeah,
and then they say something, and then they say something, and then they say something,
yeah,
and that is how the Christian community and gospel is spread, person to person, and so it's in the intimate as well as in the communal that we do that work, mm-hmm. And it takes me and it takes you in the present to say, I want to see that church 300 years from now.
Yeah.
So I have work to do.
Yeah. Lots of work.
Exactly.
Lots of really good work.
Keep your lamps burning.
Yeah.
Be dressed and ready for action, as the gospel says this morning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we spend quite a bit of time here talking about Bishop Andrew and the work that you do. So when you're not busy being a bishop, what does life look like for you?
Well, it's a busy life. Mary and I, my wife Mary and I, have 5 children.
Okay.
2 boys and 3 girls, and we try and spend as much time as we can with them. They range in age from 21 to 28.
Okay.
They're very, very active people, and so when we get a chance to be in their presence, it's just wonderful.
Sure.
And besides that, we love to travel together. We love doing home renovations, hanging out with friends, listening to live music.
Okay.
We try and spend every ounce of our time together.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So any current renovations on the go?
Well, I've just finished doing some roofing in the summer and some painting of the Sea House as well in the summertime. And we have a property up in Bala, which is in Muskoka.
Okay.
And I have some new wood floors to put down at some point.
Ah, okay. We're getting brand new flooring here at Trinity as well.
I heard that.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
pretty impressive.
Maybe we should invite you to come on over and help them out.
I can help. I'm pretty good with the sander.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bishop Andrew. This has been a delight to get to hear a little more from you, but also I think to hear your heart for this work and your heart for this diocese and the churches. It's so encouraging to know that we have a leader who is leading with love and compassion and with this desire to sort of see us all come together now and 300 years from now.
Thank you. And I really appreciate your ministry and what you do here at Trinity Streetsville. And you do it so beautifully, very warm and engaging. And thank you for the opportunity of having this conversation.
Yeah.
Every
You're
blessing
very welcome.
to you.
Yeah, you as well. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Trinity Talks. I hope that as you've been listening to this conversation, whether you are part of our diocese or not, that you have been able to sort of picture yourself as part of God's kingdom, as part of this global church family that's moving here and into the future together. And we will see you again next week.